On to Syria. Reports say over 100 Syrian soldiers have been killed by militants as Damascus has vowed to pursue terrorists in the western city of Homs. Syrian media say militants are continuing to attack civilians and members of the armed forces. They have launched attacks in Idlib city as well as areas near Damascus. Dozens of civilians and troops have been killed in the attacks. Intensive clashes are underway between the Syrian army and the militants in several cities. Reports say Damascus has lost some border areas near Lebanon to armed groups. Officials say the assailants are using U.S. and Israeli-made anti-tank missiles. Meanwhile, the Russian foreign minister is in Syria. This only days after Russia and China vetoed an anti-Syrian draft resolution backed by the West and the Arab League in the UN Security Council. In the meantime, Iran's foreign ministry has confirmed the release of 11 Iranian pilgrims recently kidnapped in Syria. The ministry spokesman, Ramin Mehmanparas, said neighboring countries mediated their release. Last Wednesday, armed men attacked a bus carrying 35 Iranian pilgrims on their way to Damascus, taking away 11 of them. According to the Iranian embassy in Syria, the assailants mistreated women, children, and the elderly who were on the bus. The remaining 24 passengers were left behind after being robbed of their money and mobile phones. This was the third time in recent months that Iranians were kidnapped by armed gangs in Syria. 7 Iranian engineers abducted in the city of Homs last month remain in captivity. Also, the whereabouts of 11 other Iranian pilgrims abducted on January 26 remain unknown. We'll cross on over to Damascus, talk to our correspondent Rashan Saglam, who joins us right now. Rashan, why don't you tell us about the developments in Syria in general? We know there are still clashes occurring in certain cities. Tell us which cities and, of course, any developments.
Well, of course, dear, since the beginning of the crisis, Homs have been crowded with terrorist attacks. Last night, terrorist attacks increased in Homs, but today we knew that the Syrian Arab Army was able to cover the area of Bab Amr and to take over all armed groups in Bab Amr, Khaldiye, and in Hayy Ashiri. This is what we know for now about Homs, as we know that terrorists attacked also last night a gas pipeline in Idlib and another oil pipeline in Bab Amro in Jobar. This is about Hamas. As for Damascus countryside, it was always under terrorist attack also since few months. We have Douma was if you look at Douma from the outside of Damascus, you can see that it's on fire almost. Now the Syrian Arab Army has his hands on Douma, so everything is cleared over there. As they also took some armed group, they were able to take some armed group after they attacked their places, and they found bombs over there, as they found stolen cars and some army suits in order for them to make believe that army is going to bomb some places or our army is doing some terrorist attacks to fake these things. And as you know, the situation is not clear right now, but I think that 70% the army, Syrian Arab Army, have everything under cover. And as we had the late news update now that 70 armed men from the armed groups, armed terrorist groups, surrendered themselves to the Syrian Arab Army.
Well, we're looking right now at a live event that's taking place in Damascus, and that's a pro-Assad rally that's taking place with in as many months, where thousands have come out, obviously showing their support for the government. And this comes in the wake of what happened at the UN Security Council in terms of the veto that Russia exercised along with China. Tell us a little bit about how that was received in Damascus, and of course, what we're seeing right now live from Damascus, which is this pro-Assad rally in the capital.
As you can see, it's not only pro-Assad rally, it's also a pro-Russia rally. We have Russian and Chinese flags all over, people all over Damascus. If you go to Damascus streets now, you're going to see it crowded with people who saluting and welcoming the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Syrian people are with this visit because they think that this visit will solve the crisis, and they have high hopes about it. So as you can see in front of you now, people are came from everywhere to Damascus, and exactly in Masjid area, just to say thank you Russia, and to insist on the help of Russia and China, and to thank them for the veto in the UN Security Council.
Well, Russia, this news of Russia and China's veto has been twisted in some sense by the Western media, that the Russian and China as countries are siding with Assad in terms of what they're perceiving as killing taking place on the ground. But they're not really seeing the other side of the coin, and that is for Russia's efforts to try to disarm the people who are fighting against Syria and the Syrian army. If you can tell us, if you can, about what's on the agenda of the Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, in terms of his visit to Syria.
Well, as we know that Russia insisted that the solution of the crisis happens in the Syrian house first, before it should have gone to the Arab League and before it goes to the UN Security Council. So it should have been solved here. So this is what Russia is trying to do. They are trying to solve the crisis now, and I believe, and as Syrian citizens believe, that the crisis will be solved after this meeting between Sergei Lavrov and President Bashar al-Assad, because this meeting is going to put a limit and an end to terrorist groups, and it's going to be like holding the solution for the crisis. This is what we believe here.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rashan Saglam, a correspondent there from Damascus. And of course, you were looking at live images there of people coming out to the streets there in Syria and the capital Damascus in terms of a pro-Assad and a pro-government rally there in as many months.